That's it.
Shalom Aleichem, good morning.
Live from Behaalotecha.
Welcome to our viewers on Torah Anytime. I want to dedicate the shir for the Hatzlacha of Ben Zion Mendoza, him and his family, for the upcoming wedding of Tzivya Sheina Bachko and Israel David Lazar in Mitzvah Hashem this coming Monday. My dear friends, in Mitzvah Hashem they should be zoichet to build a bais Godol b'Yisrael Ne'eman la'Hashem u'lotoroso le'doiros yeshorim u'mevorachim. Also for the Ilui Neshama of Kapel Dov Ben Gittel Kaplan, the father of my dear friend Shia Peretz Kaplan, Mitzvah Hashem. He should be a Meilitz Yosher for the family and for Klal Yisrael. I also want to dedicate the shir for the Hatzlacha of our physical soldiers in battle, wherever they may be, here in Eretz Yisrael, in the air, wherever they may be, but also for the Hatzlacha of our spiritual soldiers, the Yeshiva Bachos, wherever they may be sitting and learning, they should be able to concentrate in learning to be able to fuel the Hatzlacha of our physical combat soldiers in Mirtzeh Hashem.
Amen. Wow.
So we're starting Parshas Behaalotecha. Parsha starts with the command for Aaron to light the menorah. Why was Aaron zoiche to this mitzvah of lighting the menorah? Rashi, Parsha, in a little later in our Chumash, Perek Chaf, Pasuk Chaf Tes, Rashi says, Aaron was an Oyev Shalom and Roidev Shalom. He used to love peace and pursue peace, and he used to make peace between people. Roidev Shalom umeitil ahava ben baalei meriva. If there are two people who would fight, Aaron would be there, and he would make sure that there is peace between them. And Rashi's language is uvein ish leishto. He would make peace between a husband and wife. He would call Shalom Bais. In Soita Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, we learn that as a result of Shalom Bais, the Shechina dwells in this house. Ish veish azachu Shechina b'neihem. Says the Sefer Yekar Charutz. If that's the case, in Shabbos Daf Chav Beis we learn that the candles, the menorah in Beis Hamidrash, was a testimony for all Ba'ei Olam, for all the residents of the world, for everybody, that Shechina shoira b'Yisrael. If that's the case, it's a measure for measure. He caused the Shechina to reside in the homes of Klal Yisrael. He merits the zchus to light the menorah, which is a testimony for the whole world that the Shechina resides in Am Yisrael. Many, many years ago, there were 12 tribes. They were divided. Everybody has his own tafkid, his own job. What if today somebody says, I want to join Shevet Levi? The Rambam in Hilchos Shemitah V'Yovel Perek Yud Gimel Halacha Yud Beis and Halacha Yud Gimel says, Shevet Levi are different than everybody else. They don't go to war. They don't work. They're supported by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They serve in his Beis Hamidrash. Comes a person now and says, that's not fair. I'd like to be part of Shevet Levi as well. Is there a way for him to do that? Similarly, the answer is no. Too late. You came a little too late. But the language of the Rambam over there in that halacha that we just quoted is Velo Shevet Levi bilvad, not only Shevet Levi, Ela kol ish veish mikol ba'ei olam. Anyone from the inhabitants of the world. Asher nadva rucho oisoi. Vehivino madao. Anybody who understands and who wants to separate from the rest of the world. Lehibadel. La'amod lifnei Hashem lesharto uleovdo. He wants to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He wants to be only with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ledeya et Hashem. He wants to know who Hashem is. Vehalach yashar kemo she'asau Elokim. And he goes straight, not in a crooked way. He goes exactly straight as HaKadosh Baruch Hu created him. Uparat me'al tzavaro. Ola cheshboinos harabim asher bikshu bnei ha'adam. He's not involved in all the cheshboinos that people are very actively are engaged in. Hareze niskadesh kodesh kodeshim. Rambam never uses this language, and he calls a person like that kodesh kodeshim, holy of holies. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will sustain him just like he sustained the Levim. In other words, yes, it's possible to go in now and to be part of Shevet Levi in that respect. You probably can't start singing in Beis Hamikdash, but you can be sustained like the Levim. The Levim don't work. They're sustained by us. Tumos, Maisos, we support them because they're the servants of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and anyone who wants can become like a Shevet Levi in that aspect. Where is this alluding to in the Torah? The Rambam doesn't say what his source is. He doesn't bring us a source. Could be the sources in our Parsha and Parshas Behaalotecha. Listen to the psukim when HaKadosh Baruch Hu describes the Levim. There's a word that keeps appearing again and again and again. Kach et הלווים מתוך בני ישראל. והקרבת את הלווים. וסמכו בני ישראל את ידיהם על הלווים. והניף אהרון את הלווים. והעמדת את הלווים. והבדלת, and you should separate, את הלווים. את is superfluous. You don't need et. Grammatically speaking, you don't need et to survive. The rule is every s comes to do something. It comes to include, comes to increase, comes to add. Esin vegamin ribui. The word es, the word gam always comes to add something. So why does it keep saying v'hivdalta et halevim? Should just say v'hivdalta halevim. As perhaps to include everybody who wants to become like a Levi. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, separate to me the Levim, and anyone else who wants to join and become like a Shevet Levi, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is also invited. And I will take care of him just like I took care of the Levim. You know, the minhag is anything you intend to do, you say, Im Yirtzeh Hashem. Be'ezras Hashem. Where are you going to? I'm traveling. Im Yirtzeh Hashem. What's the source to say this? For everything we do, everything we plan, Im Yirtzeh Hashem. Baruch Hu's help, Hashem's help. Be'ezras Hashem, Im Yirtzeh Hashem, Birtzos Hashem u'v'yishua. So different ways that we can say it. What's the source? Says the Shla HaKodesh, it's in our parsha. The pasuk says, Al pi Hashem yis'u, they will travel based on HaKodesh Baruch Hu's word. Ve'al pi Hashem yachanu, and they will encamp based on HaKodesh Baruch Hu's word. Then a few psukim later, it switches the order. First it says, they will travel and they will camp. And then it says, Al pi Hashem yachanu, they will encamp. And then Ve'al pi Hashem yisau, and they will travel. Says the Shla HaKodesh, this is the source. For everything that one wants to do, it's Al pi Hashem. It's based if HaKodesh Baruch Hu is going to allow me to do this, it's only based on His will. And therefore you say, I'm planning to go now, I'm going to travel, Im Yirtzeh Hashem. When you get to your destination, you say, HaKodesh Baruch Hu allowed me to come here. HaKodesh Baruch Hu, thank you so much. I plan to go back and this date. HaKodesh Baruch Hu, please allow me to do so. Al pi Hashem. Everything you do, machshava, ma'aseh, v'dibur, is only Al pi Hashem. This is the source. And therefore we love saying, Al pi Hashem, Al pi Hashem, Al pi Hashem, because we constantly think about HaKodesh Baruch Hu and get involved in everything we do.
When you hear.
Yeah?
Question.
Yeah. Just speak loud.
Oh.
You want to say something?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
The ethics from Rebbe Tessin or Rebbe Tessin brought it from someone else?
Shla HaKodosh. Shla HaKodosh. Who is greater than the Shla? Hundreds of years ago.
So when you hear someone say, God willing, which God is he talking about? If it's not a Jewish person, which God is he referring to?
That you have to ask the person who said, not me.
Do we listen to? We say Amen? Do we say, how do we respond?
If you know he's talking about the right one, the only one, so you can say Amen. If not, you say Refuah Shleima. Listen to a series of psukim in Perek Tet Zayin, Pasuk Yud Zayin, up to Chav Gimel. I'm going to read the psukim, emphasizing certain words, and tell me if you don't think it's kind of redundant. ולפי העלות הענן מעל האוהל ואחרי כן ייסעו בני ישראל. The cloud starts ascending, signaling to Klal Yisrael it's time to start traveling, and they do. ובמקום אשר ישכום שם הענן, wherever the cloud decides to rest, שם יחנו בני ישראל. That's where Klal Yisrael camp. על פי השם ייסעו בני ישראל ועל פי השם יחנו. What do we understand from here until this point? Everything is decided based on the cloud. Finish. We understood it. The pasuk continues. Kol yemei asher yishkon he'anan ala mishkan yachanu. As long as the cloud rests, you rest. Pretty clear? The Torah, for some reason, says it again and again and again. Uve'harich he'anan ala mishkan yamim rabim. And if the cloud decides to rest for a long time, for many days, v'shamru bnei Yisrael es mishmeres Hashem ve'lo yisau. So Klal Yisrael, don't travel. And by the way, the yesh, sometimes asher yeh hanan mispar yamim ala mishkan. Sometimes it's going to happen that it's going to be there for a few days. Al pi Hashem yachanu ve'al pi Hashem yisau. We got that already. Based on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's word, they will travel. Based on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's word, they would camp. We would think that's enough. Pasuk continues. V'yesh, and sometimes yeh asher yeh hanan me'erev ad boiker. Sometimes the cloud is there from erev, from the evening until the morning. V'na'ala ha'anan baboker, and in the morning it starts rising. V'nasau, so everybody's traveling. Or Yoimam v'layla v'na'ala hanan v'nasau. Sometimes a day and a night. So you're camping there for a day and a half, 2 days, and then you start traveling. Didn't we understand that already before? It's not enough. O yomaim, o chodesh, o yamim. Sometimes it's 2 days. Sometimes it's a month. Sometimes it's a few years that you stay in one place. Behaalotecha anan ala mishkan mishkon alav. When the cloud decides to rest for a long time, yachanu bnei Yisrael. So Klal Yisrael camp, v'lo yisau, and they don't travel. We got that. And by the way, uvehaloso, and it rises. That means it's time. Yisau, start traveling. Oh, Baruch Hashem. Okay, I didn't understand the first 2 times. Oh, by the way, al pi Hashem yachanu, based on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's word, they camp. Ve'al pi Hashem yisau. I think I got that a few times before. Es mishmeres Hashem shamu. They kept whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu said. Al pi Hashem, beyad Moshe. Kind of redundant. This is not only a story about what happened many, many years ago. The Torah is eternal. What's the message to us? Drive, park. Drive, park. Drive, park. Drive, park. Drive, park. Drive, park, 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 drive, park. Based on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's word. Based on what Moshe says. Got it. 3 extremely important points that come out as a result of what they did over there and how it impacts on us. Klal Yisrael were traveling in the desert, and then one day they parked. Moshe says, okay guys, unload. There was a lady by the name of Rachel. She turns to her husband Reuven, says, Reuven, I have this feeling we're staying here for a long time. He says, yeah, I also felt like that, you know. She says to him, if you don't mind, fix up the place. He says, sure. He goes home and he starts putting up new shelves for the books. He puts up curtains. He makes the place a beautiful place. At the same time that he did that, his friend Shimon went to the local Beis Medrash, opened up a Bava Metzia, started learning. It took him a week and a half. Some renovations. The place looked gewaldic. Exactly when he's done, the clouds started rising, signaling to everybody, Aboisai, back up, we're leaving. So he had to take down the shelves, take down the curtains, pack everything back in the suitcases, and start traveling. And they did. They traveled, and suddenly the cloud rests. That means everybody is parking now. This is the new place. Reuven already got the message from the first time around. So Reuven and Shimon go together to Beis Medrash and open a Bava Metzia, and they learn. After a week of learning, Reuven says to his wife, you know, I think now we're actually going to stay here for a little while. I have this feeling. She says, yeah, I also think so. So Reuven takes the hammer and takes the tools and starts fixing up the place. She says, you know, the entrance to our house, maybe you can fix up. There's a little crack on the sidewalk. You sure? I see a little, the window. Maybe you can, it's not moving so smoothly. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. And he's thinking, it took him 2.5 weeks. The place looks like a palace. As soon as he's done, the cloud starts moving up. Aboisai! Time to pack up. And they do. Message number 1, prioritizations. When you leave this place, which is a short camp for a little while, 70, 80, 120 years, whatever they give us. What do you take with you? What's temporary? What's permanent? Which window do you think you're going to take with you? What curtains? What bookshelves? When he was fixing up the place, his friend already finished 2 Masechtas. He did a siyum on 2 Masechtas while he's slaving with his renovations and his new house. The right prioritization. That's message number 1. Message number 2. What did Klal Yisrael actually do there? For 40 years. 40 years in the desert. What did they do? They didn't have the new gadgets. Nobody was buying a new car every 2 years, just the newest model. Nobody. It seems they didn't have yachts and very elaborate and big estates. Some say, I don't know if it's true, some say their phones didn't have texting. I don't know if that's true. That could be exaggerated. It could be that they didn't have. I don't know. So what did they do? They listened to Moshe Rabbeinu. They listened to Aaron. They listened to the Zkenim. They were learning Torah for 40 years straight. That was the only thing that they could do. That is how you form a nation. You give them the right prioritizations. What's permanent? and what's just a fleeting moment. What should you concentrate on? 40 years. And the third message, if you were to ask these two guys, our friends, Reuven and Shimon, tell me, does this make any sense? They tell you to travel, and 5 minutes, stop. So you stop. Sometimes you wait 12 hours, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 2 days, sometimes a month, sometimes 3 years, 4 years, sometimes 2 weeks. Does that make any sense? If they want you to get from point A to point B, let you travel and then rest in the new place for a longer time. Does it make any sense? Reuven and Shimon must reply, no, it makes no sense. The 40 years in the desert was a course of nullifying oneself to das Torah. My thoughts, my plans make no difference. It's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Al pi Hashem yachanu ve'al pi Hashem yisau. Based al pi Moshe. Whatever Moshe explains, this is Ratzon Hashem, which means they learned for 40 years. And this is how you form a nation. That everything is decided by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, based or through His loyal Shaliach. And that is the Chachamim in every generation. And that is what we have to do. And this is the message that come out of this Maaseh. That we have to nullify ourselves to Das Torah. That means what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, as it is explained to us by Gedolei Yisrael, Chachmei Yisrael, takes prioritization before everything that we may want. So the conclusion, Parshas Behaalotecha comes to teach us, don't pursue the luxury and the nonsense of the world. We're not taking them with us. Sit and learn Torah from the Zkenim, from the Chachamim, and to know with minimum hishtadlus, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of everything. And nullifying ourselves to das Torah always, lechoira, that's the clear and loud message that comes out of this Pasha.
I'm going to learn though that this 42 masos that the Israel did is that on them the fact of not doing exactly what Hashem mentioned. The fact of staying there for a week or 2 weeks. Stayed there a year at a time.
Sometimes a year, sometimes more than a year. But as the Pasuk says, sometimes 5 minutes. You get there in the evening, and in the morning after nets, back up. The Pasuk clearly says that. So overall, it wasn't throughout 40 years that every day they had to travel. There were times that they were in camp for a long, long time, but you never knew. And sometimes it will be very, very short. Why is that? Because that's Das Torah. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, and He calls the shots, not us. The Pasuk says, I'm sorry?
I understand that one of the Takanas of Rabbi Yehuda Chassid is connected with this, because I saw a story once that the Rebbe Shlomter Lubavitch, he wanted to build in Lubavitch a stone building, which yeshiva from Chet Miriam, and he sent a telegram to a Chaim of Brisk asking if he was allowed to do it, because apparently the Takana of Yehuda Chassid is not to build a solid stone structure in this Lubavitch. Is about familiar with such a takana?
There's a Kli Yakar in Parshas Devarim that says, I would title his little essay over there, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And the Kli Yakar is with us today, and he says the reason for the lengthening of the galus is because people build extravagant estates in Chutz La'aretz, and it causes the Goyim to be jealous of us. Anyways, they don't like us. And they claim, you took all our money. And his words are, and this is the reason for the lengthening of the Galus. There's a Gemara in Avodah Zorah, I think Daf Tes, and the Gemara says, after a certain time, the Gemara gives the date, if somebody comes and offers you a field that's worth $1 million, for $2, don't buy it. Because you're not staying, Mashiach is coming. So why would you want to invest in a place that Avodah Zorah comes before Rabbi Yehuda Chassid 1,000 years ago? So is one not allowed to invest in buildings and Chutz La'aretz? One is allowed to. It's an investment. It's an Eitzah Toiva. This is not Paskin Lemaisa and Shulchan Aruch. It's an Eitzah Toiva. It's also an attitude of how much do we really believe and yearn for the coming of Mashiach, and how much do we are very comfortable in where we are. Our what?
From our stay here in this world,
Yeah.
based on this also. We don't know how long it is.
Correct. So invest in something that will yield the best return, and that is something which is eternal. Torah mitzvahs. The pasuk in Perek Yud pasuk Beis says to Moshe, "Aseh lecha shtei chatzotzos kesef." Make for yourself 2 silver trumpets. Says Behaalotecha Abramsky. What does it mean? What does it mean? Aseh lecha, make for yourself. About all the Klei HaMikdash doesn't say this word lecha, for yourself. The Behaalotecha Abramsky is medayek from here that all the Klei HaMikdash can be used generation after generation. If it's still intact, it's still okay, use it. But the trumpets, every leader has to create his own. Rashi's words are, Ata oise umishtamesh bahem velo acher. You make these trumpets, you can use them, no one else. Why? Why are the trumpets different than everything else? All the vessels of Beis HaMikdash can be used by everybody, generation after generation. But the trumpets, no, Moshe, it's only for you. The next leader will have to make his own trumpets. Why is that? Says Behaalotecha Abramsky. The trumpets, what are they used for? Lemikra ha'eda, to call everybody, to gather them around. Come. You hear that sound and you run to Moshe. So Behaalotecha Abramsky says, every generation's ears are a little different. You can't use the same voice, the same sound, to call people from 100 years ago to call them today. It just doesn't work. The generation is different. You have to speak to them in their own language. And therefore, every generation has its leader, whoever HaKadosh Baruch Hu designated, and that generation has to be in tune with that leader has to be in tune with the generation, what they need, what can help them, what can actually cause them to come to me. So you can't use the trumpets from many years ago, the trumpets of Moshe, and think they can work for you today. This is a message for every leader, but it's not a message only for the leaders. It's a message for every parent. It's a message for every teacher, any educator. If you want to call in the youth, you must use the trumpets that are applicable to your generation. Don't use different methods from the past if they not necessarily are shayach today and not going to work. So therefore the pasuk says, Aseh lecha, make for yourself, Mr. Leader, whoever you are, the trumpets that can be used now. In every generation, the leader has to assess what can be used now and what cannot be used. And if new methods have to be applied and implanted, so that's what you have to do. And again, this is just not only for the leader. It's for every parent and it's for every educator. Perek Yud pasuk lamed aleph. Vayihi b'nesoya Aaron. What's there before this little parsha? Vayihi b'nesoya Aaron? Upside down nuns. Why? Says the Gemara in Shabbos Daf Kuf Tezayin Amud Aleph. Vayihi b'nesoya Aaron. Ze sefer bifnei atzmo. It's an independent sefer. What does that mean? It's an independent sefer. Reb Naftali Avrupshitz used to say, sometimes when a person travels, as if he has an independent sefer. What does it say here? Vayihi b'nesoya Aaron. When people are traveling, as if sometimes they create their own sefer. He allows himself all kinds of things that he would never allow himself when he's back home. Vayihi b'nesoya, it's an independent sefer. I have a new Torah, I have a new Shulchan Aruch when I'm traveling. The Torah is the same Torah when a person is at home, and even when he's traveling, it should be the same sefer. It's true that in the Torah it's divided by even so when it's an independent sefer, but not the rules and the laws of that Torah do not change because you decided to travel. So Chas v'Shalom to create a new Shulchan Aruch because we are traveling. But this pasuk Vayihi b'nesoya Aaron says the Ma'aril, a fascinating thing. We say this pasuk when we open up the Aron Kodesh. The Mishnah Berurah says in Simen Kuf Lamed Aleph Seif Cotton Yud, even if initially you're outside, it's a mitzvah to come into the shul, to see how they open up the Aron Kodesh and they close the Aron Kodesh, they take out Sefer Torah and they put it back in. It's a mitzvah to see it. How many times do you get to do this mitzvah throughout the year? Says the Maharil, Reish Mem Ches, 248 times throughout the year. And that makes sure that your 248 Evarim organs will be intact. You come in to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah coming in and out 248 times, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to protect your body with the 248 Evarim that it has. V'aish Moshe anav mikol adam asher al pnei ha'adama. Is this what the pasuk says? Why not? What did I change? V'aish Moshe anav mikol adam asher al pnei ha'adama. Is it not what it says? Vayish Moshe anav meod mikol adam asher al pnei ha'adama. Now it's okay? What's that? Nobody caught me. I said Hashem. והאיש מוישה ענב מאוד מכל אדם אשר על פני האדמה. מכל האדם. Superfluous, hey? What did you do it for? והאיש מוישה ענב מאוד מכל אדם אשר על פני האדמה. What did you gain by saying מכל האדם? Adam. It's the same thing. Perhaps. Of course it's not. Why is that? Perhaps because there's a Toisus in Yevamos Samech Aleph. The Toisus says there's a chiluk between the word Adam and Ha-Adam. When you see the word Adam, that refers to Jews. Ha-Adam includes even Goyim. So maybe you would say, among Klal Yisrael, Moshe was so anav. He was no one like him. Ve'ish Moshe anav mikol Adam. That means from all the Jews, he is the most. He is so humble. But maybe there's a guy out there who in anava is greater than Moshe. Could be. A guy who's so great. He's not so big in Torah and mitzvahs, but he's very humble. Comes the pasuk says, no. Ve'ish Moshe anav mikol ha-Adam. From all the people who are walking on this planet, Jews and non-Jews alike, Moshe is the one who excels in this midah of anava. There was another Moshe who was very, very big anav. Very big. Igos Moshe. Moshe Feinstein Zatzal. Orachaim. Chelek Aleph. Simin Tzadi Vav. Listen to an answer. He's running to a person, I don't know who it is, Reb Moshe Metzger. He addresses him because apparently this Reb Moshe Metzger came to Reb Moshe a few days before and gave him tochacha. This person is not a Rav Agoen. Reb Moshe knows how to give people compliments. He's writing Reb Moshe Metzger. Apparently this Reb Moshe Metzger gave Moshe Feinstein rebuke. He says, Rebbe, I saw you driving. After the time of lighting candles, you were driving to yeshiva this Friday. You should know it's terrible what you did. It's a chilul Hashem. Reb Moshe Feinstein writes to him back in a tshuva. Reb Moshe, yashekoyach to you. You did great. I really appreciate what you did in rebuking me. By the way, he writes to him, Neheneti meod. I really enjoyed the fact that you gave me rebuke. Chas v'sholom, I'm not makpid. And I'm taking upon myself, bli neder, from now on, never to drive after the time of Adlakas Neros. But by the way, you should know you are 100% wrong. And he explains to him why halachically he's 100% wrong. He says maybe there's a maris ayin, and that's what you're suspecting. There's no maris ayin. The definition of a maris ayin is something which is done normally in the wrong way, and now you're doing it in the right way. People may suspect you. What are you doing? And he gives all kinds of examples. For example, your clothes fell into the water on Shabbos, so you want to put them on the chair to dry. Most people spread them out in certain places because they launder them. So people may suspect you that you did laundry on Shabbos. Marisai not allowed to, because normally you spread your clothes after you do laundry. But something which is known that is muta, and he says women are mekabel Shabbos when they light candles. Men, everybody knows, even women know that when a woman lights candles, she is mekabel Shabbos, not the man. It's accepted all over the world, except Yerushalayim, Bet Shemesh, other places, 40 minutes, but all over the world, it's 20 minutes. So a woman lights candles 20 minutes before, she's mekabel Shabbos. But a man not. A man is not mekabel Shabbos, he's allowed to, lechatchila, do melachos, up to about 2 minutes before. And Reb Moshe says, that Friday that you're talking about, it was exactly 4:32, Shabbos came in, and I was in the car at 4:19. That's what he writes in his tshuva. Which means I still had another 11 minutes to drive, and I was driving a short distance from my house to the yeshiva. I could have driven a distance 5 times greater than that. It takes me a minute and a half, 2 minutes to get from my house to the yeshiva. It's 100% kosher lechatchila what I did. There is no marisai. But since you're telling me some women don't know this, it's their problem. They should know this. That's the halacha. But since you're saying some women don't know this, and even some men don't know this, and maybe chas v'sholom, some kind of a kilkul and a zilzul to Shabbos Kodesh will come out of this, you know what, I'm taking upon myself, bli neder, I will never go into a car again after the time of Kabbalah Shabbos. Reb Moshe is telling him, you are 100% wrong. But I really enjoyed your rebuke, yashekoyach to you, and I'm going to change what I did until now, even though I'm right. But you said something. Va'ish Moshe, walking in the way of Moshe Rabbeinu.
On that same subject, with regard to the women, say the woman plans to be something like in the shore, because there's
she wants to drive there.
Can she light the candles and then be able to drive after that?
In theory, she can make a condition. I'm lighting candles and I'm not mekabel Shabbos on myself. I want to be able to drive to the koisel. Erev Yom Kippur, many people drive to the koisel. I have to go to my in-laws far away. I can't walk, not shaykh. Yes, she can. We don't like it. So bish'as adchak, she can do it. In extreme situations, extraordinary circumstances, she can do it. On a regular basis, the answer is no, we don't like it, but it does work, so one can do it. Speaking about anava, yeah, it's a very common shaila. Tzitz Eliezer addresses a very common shaila because of Yom Kippur. People light all over Yerushalayim and they want to go daven in the koisel, and then they walk back. So then he allows them to make a condition in order to be able to drive to the koisel. It's very special. Once a year, you want to daven in the koisel. On a regular basis, this is a practice that should be avoided. Bish'as adchak, it can be done. Because we're talking about anava, don't remember exactly when, but about 15 years ago, maybe a little less. Reb Steimer was in the high 90s. One day, a guy comes into the house. He looks kind of distinguished, wearing nice garments, but something was off. So people were watching, what is he going to do? And he walks straight to Reb Steimer. He says, Shalom Aleichem. My name is Eliyahu Hanavi. They sent me from above to come to you to announce that I am here. You're the Gadol Ador. You're the leader of the generation. Shalom Aleichem. Now, what would you do? Look at the Gabbai. Says, get him out of here. Reb Steimer, Gadol Ador, stands up for him. Oh, Aleichem Shalom. And he shakes his hand. Maybe you can help me out. You know, it's been now close to 85 years that I'm wondering. You know, Bab Metzia Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph, the Gemara finishes a little short question with a tekel. What's a tekel? Tishbi Yetaretz Kushas Yibayos, we've been waiting for you for a long time. The Gemara wants to know, if you find a certain measure called a kav of fruits in a space of 4 amos, you can take him. You have to assume the owner gave up ownership. He was mafkir. But what if you found a chetzikav, half of that measure, in 2 amos? Do you have to be mafkir or not? Do you have to announce that you found a lost item? Or you can assume that the owner gave up ownership and was mafkir. What's the 2 sides of the question? The kav, a certain measure, the full measure of kav in 4 amos is a big tircha. It's a lot of work to gather them. So half a kav, it's not such a big deal. So maybe the owner never gave up ownership. On the other hand, a kav in 4 amos is not considered chashuv, so the person gives up ownership. So how much more so? Half of that measure in 2 amos, the person says, the Gemara says, Teku, we don't know. You know, since I learned it in Cheder, it's been bothering me for 85 years. You're saying you're Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi is supposed to resolve the 321 Tekus in Shas. What's the answer to this one? That person realized he is in trouble. He turned around and ran away. It's 2 things. First of all, how to address anyone in Klal Yisrael. Could have said, Meshigane, get him out of here. Gabbai, throw him out. He stood up for him. But it's the brilliance to know what to answer without embarrassing a person, just to cause him to decide again if he wants to continue being Eliyahu Hanavi or go somewhere else. Moshe, who the Torah declares, was such an anav. I'm sorry?
But in this case, he could have just left and answered one question. No?
He could have what?
He could have left and answered one of them. No, it's the first answer.
He probably didn't even understand one word Reb Steinman said. Moshe, that the Torah declares he was such an anav, was walking in the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In Megillah Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph, many people say it, in Vayiten Lecha, Motzei Shabbos, we say, Kol Makom, She'ata Moitze Gdulaso Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whenever you see His greatness, Sham Ata Moitze Anu V'Sanuso. There you see how humble HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. What does that mean, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is humble? Comes the Kli Yakar, in Perek Mem Aleph, Pasuk Aleph, in Bereshit, Parshas Miketz. And he says, look at HaKadosh Baruch Hu when he decides to call himself a name. What's the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Yud Kei Vav Kei. The many letters in the Aleph base, 22 of them. Let's look at the numerical value of the letters. Aleph is spelled Aleph, Lamed, Fei. What's the numerical value of the letter Aleph? 111. Aleph is 1, Lamed is 30, Pei is 80, it's 111. Beis, Yud, Taf. What's that together? 412. Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Yud K, Vav K is the smallest numbers out there. Yud is Yud Vav Dalet, it's only 20. Hey is Hey Aleph, it's only 6. Vav, he spells it Vav Yud Vav. You can even spell it Vav Vav. It's either 12 or Vav Yud Vav. It's 22. And again, Hey is Hey Aleph. Any letter, most of the letters have a tet, have a taf. That's already 400. Beis, Chet, Daled, Tet. They all have tet, taf. And even without it, Nun is already 106. Nun Vav Nun. All the letters have much higher numbers. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, since he is so humble, selects for himself his name, the smallest numerical value of the letters from all of them. Yud Kei Vav Kei. Kol makom she'ata motze gdulaso shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, sham ata motze an vesanuso. Not only that. The Gemara says, where do you see a proof from that? From the Torah, from the Nevi'im, and from the Ksuvim. And the Gemara brings psukim to show how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is such an honor. We're not going to go with psukim. We're going to go again with a different numerical calculation to see how great HaKadosh Baruch Hu is and how humble he is. Kol makom she'ata motze gdulaso shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whenever you see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's greatness, there, dafka there, you see how humble he is. What does that mean? The name Yud Kei Vav Kei. What's the numerical value?
26.
26. So let's inflate the name. Double up. Kol makom she'ata motze gdulaso. How much is 26 plus 26? 52. 26 is Gimatria. There is a thing called Gimatria Ktana. That's when we narrow everything down to a single digit. So if Hashem's name is 26 in Gimatria Ktana, single digit, what would it be? 26 is 2 plus 6. The Gimatria Ktana of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is 8. So if we inflate the HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name, double up, you have 52. What's the Gimatria Ktana of 52? 5 and 2 is 7. That's interesting. You increase as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you deflate and decrease the numbers. Let's do that again. 52 with another Hashem's name. 52 plus 26, 78. What's the Gimatria Ktana of 78? 7 plus 8? 15 is 1 plus 5. What is that? 6. Interesting. We went down from 8 to 7 to 6. Let's do that again. 78 plus 26, another Hashem's name. 78 plus 26, how much is that? 100. You're good. How old are you? 12. Shh, he beat you to it. 112, what's the Gimatria? Gimatria Ktana, we're narrowing down to single digit.
104.
I'm sorry? 104. Gimatria Ktana? 5. 8, 7, 6, 5. Anytime you increase Hashem's name, it goes down in numbers. 104 plus 26. 130. Gimatria Ktana? 4. It goes down from 5 to 4. 130 plus 26. 156. Gimatria Ktana. 1 plus 5 is 6. Plus 6 is 12. What's the Gimatria Ktana of 12? 3. 156 plus 26. 182, Gimatria Ktana. 1 plus 8 plus 2 is? What's the Gimatria Ktana of 11? 2. 182 plus 26. 208. Gimatria Ktana. 2 plus 8?
10.
Which means Gimatria Ktana?
1.
This will continue. Now it starts again another round. 208 plus 26. It will go back to 8. And then we'll go back to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whenever you're going to do this, it's always going to continue. Why? Because Chazal say, Kol makom she'ata moitze gdulaso shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Whenever you see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's greatness, there you find how humble he is. Sham ata motze an vesanusoi. You can't make these things up.
What's this called? What is this called?
An unbelievable wonderment. That's what I call it. Don't know.
You called it something in the beginning.
I call it a pele. Gimatria Ktana is when you narrow everything down to a single digit. Chazal say, anyone who runs away from being honored, he runs away from honor. Honor will pursue him. Somebody once came to Chaim Kanievsky's Zatzal and said, Rebbe, how does that help him? The guy is not interested in honor. So if honor will pursue him, you're punishing him. It sounds like a great reward. If you run away from honor, ultimately the honor will pursue you and you will be honored. But I don't want to. Why am I running away from honor? Because he says it's not good. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to be humble. Stay away from it. So if ultimately honor is going to pursue you, what did you gain? It's a punishment. How does it work? Reb Chaim Kaniev says, no, it's a reward. Because again, you're going to be presented with another chance to run away from honor. And to exercise another mitzvah called anava. So it's just giving you another opportunity to run away, like you've been doing all those years. You've been doing it great. They're giving you another opportunity from Shamayim to exercise running away from honor. It's not a punishment, it's another reward. Rabbi say a tough riddle. Ooh, can it be that one will be punished just because he has a very clear, decisive, caloric advantage over other people? This is a very politically correct way of saying certain things which I don't want to say, especially it's a recording. But since a person occupies a lot of space and he has a very clear caloric advantage over other people, he will be punished just because of that. He does the same mindset as other people who occupy much less space, and yet he will be punished just because of his size. Can it be? Strange riddle. You don't have to all answer me at once. One by one is also okay. What's that?
After the person dies, it takes more time for his body to be consumed.
Fine.
Punishment.
Where's the punishment?
More suffering, isn't it? Because he doesn't get
He's not here anymore. His neshama is upstairs.
the shaman suffers, no?
When a person is around, can it be that one was punished just because of his size? He did the same mindset as somebody else.
Well, there is in our son of Mishimon that tested himself.
He tested himself.
To see if it was.
Tested himself is not considered a punishment from Shamayim. He tested himself. And the test was successful. But Metzia, Beidalid. The answer is in Basa Shavua, and maybe that's the reason I'm asking this. Not to be believed. The Pasuk says, Habasar odenu ben shinehem. They ate a lot of meat. Kodesh Baruch Hu's wrath was upon them. So what happened? Ve'af Hashem chara ba'am. Vayach Hashem ba'am maka rabba me'od. The Kodesh Baruch Hu killed a lot of people over there. Who was killed? Everybody was killed? Pasuk in Tehillim, Ayin Chet Lamed Aleph says, Ve'af Elokim ala bahem. Kodesh Baruch Hu was angry. Vayaharog b'mishmaneim. When Hashem's anger flared up at them, He slew their sturdiest, struck down their chosen of Israel. Uvachurei Yisrael echriya. Who are the people that were killed? Say that das zekeni mibale atoyseres. Carries a lot of weight. Rishonim. What does it mean in this pasuk? Vayaharog b'mishmaneihem. He killed the sturdiest. Mishmaneihem. That's the language of shmeinim, those who were fat. Hashmeinim ve'abrim. People who were fat, big people, healthy, strong people. They are the ones who were chutzpahdik when they asked, "What about having some meat?" So they were killed. The thin ones could have said, listen, I'm so thin. The doctor said I need to have some meat. They had an excuse why they asked for meat, so then they were not killed. But the people who were big and strong and healthy and fat, they were killed. That's Da'at Zekeni Mibal HaToyes. The Malbim says similar. On this pasuk in Tehillim, Ayin Ches Lamed Aleph, Ve'af Elokim ala bahem, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's anger was with them, says the Malbim, don't think that it's the meat that killed him. Maybe you'll say this was very tough meat. It was very hard for them to digest, especially that they didn't eat meat in a long, long time, and that's why it killed them. If that was true, who should it kill first? The people who were weak, the old, but they survived. Dafka, the people who were strong and fit, the people who were fat, who have a lot of extra storage, they were killed to show you this is from heavens. This is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Only those people were killed, not the thin ones. Mamash Pele. Continuing on this theme, can it be that there's a halacha which is calorie dependent? If you have a lot of calories, you're storing a lot of it, you have a new halacha, only applicable to you. You're thin and fit, this halacha doesn't apply to you. Can it be that such a halacha is dependent on your size? This was a punishment before, now we're talking about halacha. A halacha, calorie dependent.
You said that Kohen, no, or the king should be told there is criteria.
Only if you're tall and handsome, we're going to select you as a Navi. There's no halacha. Halacha applies to everybody.
Shiurim.
What about Shurim?
The size of the Kazakh don't depend on
Very good, very good. I wasn't thinking about that, you're right. As soon as I started saying before about the punishment, I figured you're going to say, Yom Kippur depends on the size of his mouth, how much he ate. A different halacha. Yerushalmi and Brachos, Perek Gimel, halacha, he says, if a person needs to toivel in the morning, he has to go to the mikveh. But the mikveh is far away from the city, and you have to walk a lot. It's going to take you a long time to get there. Chachamim were lenient, and they said, you know what? You can say Kriyas Shema without toiveling. We're afraid you're going to miss the time. Say Kriyas Shema without toiveling. Then go to the mikveh, come up, and daven Shmoneh Esrei. Continues Chazal over there and say, and if he's an Adam Mesuyam, what's Adam Mesuyam? The Mefarshim there explain, a person that occupies a lot of space, Adam Shaman, that's what the Pnei Moshe says. They were making on him, Chachamim were lenient, and they made him as if the mikveh is very far away, even though the mikveh is 1 block away from his house. This person has a special leniency, and he doesn't have to go to the mikveh, because apparently for him it's very difficult to get to the mikveh. So even though the mikveh is not outside town, it's very close to his house. But for him, he can view it as if the mikveh is far away, and he has a leniency. He can say Shema without toiveling. Then take your time, go toivel, and daven Shmoneh Esrei. Moshe is davening for his sister. When one davens, how fast should you go? What's the right tempo? Shulchan Aruch Chaim, Simen Nun Aleph, Seif Ches. When you say Psuke Dezima in the morning, Ein oimrim azmiros bimrutza, ki im benachas. The Shulchan Aruch says, don't speed up when you say Psuke Dezimra. Slow down. The Mishnah Berurah says, Shelo yedaleg shum teiva velo yavliyem. Don't skip any words and don't swallow up the words. Ela yoitzi mepiv keilu moine maos. You should say the words as if you're counting money. There's a Hasidic Rebbe that once was davening in shul and he saw one of his Hasidim. He was davening, there's no tomorrow. At the end of davening, he goes over and he says to his Hasid, you know, the Mishnah Berurah says that you have to daven as if you're counting money. Kemoine maos. The Hasid doesn't get so excited. He said, wait a second, Rebbe. And he takes out a bunch of bills from his pocket. And he says, Rebbe, watch this. 482. The Rebbe was in awe. How'd you do that so fast? He says, can I see those bills? He looks at him. He says, they're all the same. It's all $5 bills. That's not a big deal. The Rebbe takes out his own package of bills and he says, try to count this. And he had a $1 bill and a $5 bill and a $10 and a $20 and a $50 and a $100. Try to do that at that speed. Chassid takes it. Oh, wait a second. He can't. He can't. Says the Rebbe to the Chassid. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says. When they're telling us to count it kemoine maos, it's different maos. It's different types of coins. In the tefillah, it's not all $20 bills. You have bakasha. You have shevach. You have shir. You have hoida. You have thank you to Kodesh Baruch Hu and sing it to Kodesh Baruch Hu and request. You have all kinds of parts of davening. You have $100 bills and you have $50 bills and you have a 20 and you have 5. Which means you have to slow down because it's not all the same bills. You can just do it at the same speed. Rebbe Elioshiv explained once what this means. He said it's not about the speed. When the Mishnah Berurah tells you you have to daven like you're counting money, it's not about the speed. When you're counting money, you're giving chashivus to every coin or every bill that you're counting. That's what it means. Some people will daven faster, some people will daven slower. Just the way we speak is different. The rate with which we execute the words out of our mouth is different. But it means giving chashivus to every word of davening that comes out of your mouth as if it's a coin. When you're counting, every coin has its chashivus. And that's how we should address every single word in davening. Every single word has chashivus, and that is how we should address it. So Miriam speaks Lashon Hara about Moshe. She gets Sarat. What's her reward? Everybody has to wait for a week until Miriam is healed. Now we can travel. The Tosfos explained it's a midah keneged midah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu works in a measure for measure fashion. Miriam spoke, and she at Saras, but since she waited for Moshe, now we're going to wait for her. See, she waited about 15 to 20 minutes for Moshe, says the Tosfos, and therefore we have to wait for a full week, because the Kodesh Baruch Hu's Midah Toiva is 500 times greater than Midah Sra. So Kodesh Baruch Hu pays up 500 times more than what you did. You waited 15 to 20 minutes times 500, that's 10,000 minutes. That's a whole week that Klal Yisrael have to wait for Gevaldik. Is that a reward? It's a punishment. Remember the Reuven and Shimon we spoke about before? Reuven says to Shimon, when are we driving again? I don't know. We're waiting for Rebbe and Miriam. No, she has Saras. We have to wait until she's healed. Everybody is talking about her for a whole week. Oh, do you know why we're still here? Because Miriam, the tzaddik is here, Moshe's sister, she got Saras. Why? She spoke Lashon Hara. Shh, what a beautiful reward. So for a whole week, everybody can be talking about you. What a tzaddik you are that you got Saras because of your Lashon Hara. Such a big reward. Wouldn't it be better to keep things quiet? Because Baruch Hu should punish her instead of Saras with something else, or keep her away. Nobody needs to know. Then send a messenger on a clouds of glory, whatever, bring her back to the camp. But why everybody has to wait and talk about her for a whole week? Where is the reward in that? It sounds like the biggest punishment and embarrassment to Miriam.
She'll get to who's because people will have an awakening before.
In order to understand what you're saying, we're going to tell a story. Where the Ridbaz lived was the city of Slutsk. The Ridbaz was the Rav of Slutsk, then he went to Chicago, and then he moved to Tzfat. About 100 years ago.
When is this? 100 years?
About 100 years ago. So in his city, there was once a Meiser. A secular doctor, very secular doctor, very secular doctor. Goes for a little walk Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, 7 o'clock. He goes by the butcher. Thursday, by the butcher, is the busiest time of the week. And he saw this frum butcher kicking everybody out of his store at 7 p.m. This is so weird. He goes to the butcher and says, hey buddy, you're kicking your parnasa away. What are you doing? Everybody wants to buy meat for tomorrow and you're sending them away. What are you doing? So the butcher says to him, I'm rushing to shul. I don't want to miss mincha. I don't want to be late. You know, parnasa is very important, but parnasa is from Shamayim. I have to take care of my oilam haba. And the doctor says to him, oilam haba. There's no such thing. What's the shalom? What are you saying? He says, oilam haba, there's no such thing. So the butcher says to him, listen, maybe you are not going to have any oilam haba. I'm trying to work and increase the size of my oilam haba. The doctor continues to make fun of him, and he says to him, you know what? I have an offer for you. If you want to increase your size of your world to come, would you like to buy my part? I'll give it to you for 1 ruble, $1. That's a great deal, of course. The butcher takes out a $1 bill, he gives it to him, and he says, now I'm the owner of your share in the world to come. He says, yes. They shake hands. Ad kana kofi aleph. Years passed. One day, a distinguished looking woman comes into the butcher, and she says, I am the widow of Dr. So-and-so. Do you know him? No idea. So she says, I know the whole thing is nonsense. What whole thing? What are you talking about? She says, my husband recently died. And he came to me in a dream. And he said the strict judgment upstairs is very, very harsh. And they wanted to throw me in Gehenna forever. And the doctor says, I told him, what about all the mitzvahs? I saved so many lives. I even treated poor people free of charge. That doesn't count for anything? And they said, it does count. It carries a lot of weight. And that would tilt the scales in your favor. But since you went ahead and you sold your share in the world to come, you don't get to go to the world to come. So the doctor tells her in the dream, I convinced them to allow me to send you as a messenger to try and convince this butcher to sell me back, to cancel the deal, sell me back my share in the world to come. Please, 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 go to the butcher and try to convince him. So she says to the butcher, the first time I had this dream, I figured, crazy dream. But then it reappeared the second time. And the third time, so I figured, I gotta check this out. He gave me your address and your name. But now that you're saying you don't know who the doctor was, I know the whole thing is just dreams. He says, wait a second. I remember that. Of course I remember that. You're saying the name of the doctor. I had no idea who he is, but I definitely remember that. Years ago, there was a doctor who came here, made fun of me, and of Olam Haba, and I bought his share in the world to come. She said, oh, do me a favor. Do my husband a favor. Please, cancel the deal. I'll give you back your ruble, your dollar, and give me back my husband's share in the world to come. And he says, no. So why not? He says, I'll tell you the truth. I'm a very simple Yid. Very simple Yid. I don't think I have a big share in the world to come. I don't have time to learn. Don't do too many mitzvahs. But now that I see that they appreciate upstairs the doctor's share in the world to come, I'm definitely holding on to it. Why would I go back on a deal which is great? The guy didn't want it. He sold it to me. It's fine. Not interested. She's pleased with it. Please, please, please. He says, no, not interested. She didn't know what to do. She went back home. That night, her husband came again in a dream. And he says to her, if the guy refuses to give it back to me, take this case to the Ridbaz, to the chief rabbi of the city, and sue him in a Beis Din. The following morning, she goes to shul, waiting for the Ridbaz when he comes out of Shachis, and she says to him, Rebbe, my name is so-and-so. My husband passed away. He was a doctor. She tells him the whole Maaseh. And my husband told me that I should take this butcher to Beis Din. Please, arrange for Beis Din. The Ridbaz heard all this. He says to her, today it's 5 p.m. We're going to have a Beis Din. Please announce to the whole city, everybody should come. The shul was packed up. Everybody came. This is a very rare case. And everybody wanted to see what's going to transpire. The Beis Din starts. He says to the widow, so what do you have to say? She says the whole Maaseh again. Her husband came to her in a dream, and the butcher verified this is true. And the husband is a terrible dinei shamayim, terrible. And he just wants back what was his. The Ridbaz looks at the butcher and says, no, what do you have to say? And the butcher says, listen, I understand, but with all due respect, the guy came to me and made fun of Olam Haba. He didn't believe in it. He sold it to me. I bought it. We shook hands. I'm not sure about my size of my share in the world to come. Now I think it's bigger. There's no reason that I should cancel the deal. The Ridbaz announces a half an hour break. We'll come back, me and the other two Dayanim, and we'll give up Psak Din. He goes to his office, and everybody's there, thousands of people. Each person says, what a chutzpah, he's so cruel, the doctor, let him sell it back. And I was just, why? The doctor was secular, couldn't care less about Olam Haba, made fun of him, of Olam Haba. He's right, he shouldn't count. Everybody has his opinion. Half an hour later, the Ridbaz comes in. We reached a verdict. The verdict has 3 parts. First part, the sale is nullified, batel umevutal, it's cancelled. And all those people in the crowd who said, he's cruel, he is wrong, he should give it back, they're all cheering. Yeah, we were right. And the Ridbaz explains, what is the reward for Torah and for mitzvahs, all the schusim that one has? It's a light created from what you did. You can't transfer that light to someone else. You hire a worker to schlep for you things. He does so for a week. Not only did he schlep for you things and he got a compensation, $500, he also became stronger, more fit because of the work that he did for you. So if he wants, he can transfer those $500 to someone else, but can he transfer his new regained strength in his muscles to someone else? That's something that accompanies him. When you do Torah mitzvahs, when you do Kodesh Baruch Hu's will, you have a spiritual strength, which is only associated with your neshama. You can't give it to anyone else. It's not shayach. And therefore, the deal is cancelled. Part 2 of the Psak Din. The doctor lost his share in the world to come. Even though we canceled the deal and he gets his share back, the doctor loses his share in the world to come. And the Ridbaz explains. There's a pasuk in Yechezkel, Perek Lamed Gimel, pasuk Yud Beis. The pasuk says, "Ve'ata ben Adam emor el bnei amecha." Kodesh Baruch Hu instructs the Navi. Tell the people, "Tzidkas hatzadik lo tatzilenu b'yom pisho." The fact that a person has a lot of schusim, a lot of good things that he did will not help him on the day, Chazal explained in Kiddushin Daf Mem, when he regrets what he did. It's called Toihe al Harishonis. A person says, why did I waste so much time and effort doing mitzvahs? What a waste of time. A person who regrets doing mitzvahs loses those mitzvahs. In Sanhedrin Daf Tzadi Amud Aleph we learn, Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek ha'olam haba. Everybody has a share in the world to come, except those who don't. Everybody likes to quote the first part of the Mishnah, but the Mishnah continues. Those who don't believe in the world to come don't get to go to the world to come. This doctor made fun of the world to come, didn't believe it exists, so he doesn't get to go there. And everybody in the crowd says, wow, that's so weird. Can it be that everybody loses out? The doctor loses out because the sale is canceled. The doctor loses out because he doesn't get to go to the world to come. A funny psak din. The Ritbaz announces, part 3 of my psak din. The doctor will go to the Olam Haba. Anybody wonders, you just said that he loses his share in the world to come. But the Ritbaz explains, there was such a Kiddush Hashem that came out as a result of this Maaseh. After his death, he acquired such a big schus, the biggest schus ever. Because now everybody sees there is a Kodesh Baruch Hu, there is a Din and there is a Dayan, there is judgment upstairs. There is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And no Maaseh that one does goes uncounted for. Nothing. Chazal say in Yuma Peizayin Amud Aleph, one who's mezake es harabim doesn't go to Gehenna. Chazal say in Pirkei Avos, one who's mezake es harabim, the schus belongs to him. Here, the schus belongs to the doctor. Because of this doctor, everybody saw there is a Kodesh Baruch Hu out there. There is judgment upstairs. And for that, we decree down here that he does have a share in the world to come. The butcher still tried to say, Rebbe, I also have a part in this Kiddush Hashem. I should also get a part. I don't know if the Ritbaz gave him a part, half, I don't know. But with that we can explain the reward of Miriam. From back then, when she sinned, and until today, everybody learns about the severity of Lashon Hara. Whom did she speak about? A man who couldn't care less. Moshe Rabbeinu is a tzaddik, he doesn't even care that she speaks about him. And yet she was severely punished a whole week, tzaras. Since then, everybody in Klal Yisrael says a pasuk every single day. It's one of the 6 remembrances. It's printed in many Sidurim after Shachis to say this every single day to remember. Klal Yisrael learns Shmiras HaLashon, Chofetz Chaim. Why? Because of Miriam. Mimele, that is a reward, just like you were saying. The reward is, can't even count it. Every single day, Klal Yisrael are occupied with this mitzvah called Lashon Hara, refrain from it because of Miriam. And that is her great reward. Acheinu kol Beis Yisrael nesunim b'tzar ובשמיה. האוהבים דימן בים ובין ביבשה. אבקום ירחם עליהם יוצאים מצר ולבך מאפילו לאורים משעבוד לגיעו לאשתו בעגולו ובזמן קריב ונוי מרומן.